What is happening there, Reject Nation? We are going to watch today from Paul, our friend over at Heavy Spoilers. I think the Moon Knight trailer confirms a big theory, hidden details and such. Paul, when your twins are born, I believe next month, I'm just so honored that you would name your twins after Greg and Greg. You're naming both of them Greg.
Yeah.
It's an unheard of case. And you know what? I think it's for the better. Because it's always fun to be like, which one's which? Oh my gosh. And both of them named Greg. That's it's really sweet of you. Thank you. And if you don't name them that, then there's going to be a lot of people very disappointed. So you don't want to disappoint people. You don't want to lose subscribers. You'll lose subscribers if you don't name them both Greg. Can't think of any other names.
No, definitely not. Not a single four-letter name other than Greg.
Just Greg.
No.
No. All right, John, you ready? Yeah.
Why don't you just call me Greg?
Okay, so the Moon Knight trailer is something special, and piecing it all together is like solving a Rubik's Cube that's constantly rotating, as Oscar Isaac's Mark Spector jumps in and out of his alternate personalities. Throughout we watch as timid Stephen Grant starts to learn about the other facets of his life, and just in case you don't know, in the comics, Mark is the dominant persona. In the source material, he travelled to ancient Egypt and discovered a dig that unearthed a shrine dedicated to the god Konchu. After Mark was badly beaten by the person leading the dig, he pledged his life to the god so that he could get revenge, and he became his avatar Moon Knight.
One thing when talking with Paul about when we were speculating about what he's punching there, I know that the common thing has been, is that a werewolf? Is that Anubis? Paul was speculating that it actually could be a jackal.
A jackal? It's a jackal.
It's a jackal.
A jackal! Jackal! It's a jackal! It looks like a jackal!
I don't know what that really does for me, and I hope it's a big deal after all the speculation.
Yes. Yes, I hope
what
it's
the
a
hell
very
that damn
significant
creature
jackal.
is.
Now the show doesn't look like it's going in this chronological direction, and instead I think that we're gonna get a similar style to WandaVision, where we're dropped in at the deep end and left trying to piece things together. I actually think that the series will open with us from Steven's point of view, and then over the course of the series he'll figure things out, and this will lead into him discovering everything about Mark, which in turn will also fill the audience in.
I actually really like the idea of that structure for the fact that this is going to be a darker show, which a lot of people, when you say that, make us think of the Netflix series, and the Netflix series, a lot of times they wouldn't show their origin tale till like the 3rd or 4th episode, so I'm wondering if they'll kind of do a similar thing here.
Oh yeah, it'll be like the centerpiece of the season.
Now in order to talk about the next part of the video, I want to give a huge shout out to Glorious Purpose on Twitter, who said that he thinks that Mark was snapped, and then when he was brought back, this is when he changed to Steven, and he has been him ever since. This would explain why he gets a phone call from someone who seems surprised he's alive, and it would also explain another big part of the teaser. Now during it we see a chase in which he's in a truck being chased by what I assume are Arthur Harrow's men. There is a moment where we see followers of Harrow bowing before him, and in the corner you can catch the same truck that Mark later drives. There are also soldiers there with guns, so it makes sense that this is all part of the same scene, with Mark fleeing in this before they go after him. At some point he goes over a cliff and hurtles to his death, but we cut before we see how he gets out of this. Now it is possible that he transforms into his Moon Knight costume at this point, but typically he appears at night, and I think it would be weird to have a vigilante in broad daylight at this point. It also begs to question why he waited up until this moment to transform, when he could have done it at any point in the scene before this. Therefore, I actually think that he'll get snapped whilst falling to the ground, and that this will be what saves his life. If you cast your mind back to the release of Avengers Endgame, you might remember one of the big questions floating around about it is what happened to people who were on a plane that got snapped when they were brought back. If they were put in the exact same position as where the plane was when they disappeared, they'd fall to their death, but the Russos cleared this all up. They said Smart Hulk accounted for this, and that everyone was brought back safely on the ground, which I think would also happen with Mark. This would allow Steven to take over Mark, but Mark constantly wanting to bust out could itch away at him and make him suspect that something else is going on. It would also allow him to get away from Harrow, and then perhaps the pair bump into each other 5 years later in the museum, which is where he tells them to embrace the chaos.
I actually really like that theory a lot. One thing that we've been seeing with dealing with the snapper post-blip, the traumatic experiences of dealing with having been snapped away for so long and having to get readjusted to life. And from the trailer alone, even without acknowledging the Thanos snap, it's already dealing with the harrowing nature, commenting on dissociative identity disorder. How do I belong? wrong when I don't even know who I am.
absolutely.
So using what we've already thematically been dealing with the snap, if you apply that to him here, it's just that much more accentuated at that point.
Oh yeah, well, and as far as like sci-fi mumbo jumbo goes, I actually really like that as getting us to, you know, having this Stephen Grant character be sort of at the center through that sort of experience of, yeah, like I don't know if it would add it to his personality array or not. Seems like something strange might happen in the 5-year, you know, oblivion that you go to.
Strange.
Easter eggs.
Now, little is known about Harrow, and even in the comics, he's quite an obscure character that was basically just a mad scientist. During his face-off against Moon Knight, one of the priests of Konchu appeared to him when he was on the road, and it sent him visions of Harrow carrying out human experiments. Harrow had won the Nobel Prize, but there was a lot of questions about how he managed to achieve medical developments when it seemed like all he had done was carry out tests on animals. However, it was uncovered by Mark that he'd been doing these on people, but the show doesn't really seem to be going in that direction. I think that in the series we will learn that when Mark was a merc, he discovered the Shrine of Konchu in Egypt, and then he became his vessel. Mark then likely continued doing mercenary ops, one involving spying on Harrow. He then witnessed things firsthand, and Harrow got his followers to fight him. In the Disney Plus Day trailer, we did see a scene in which he was surrounded by people he'd knocked out in a street that looks similar to the one that we see Harrow in. The character seems a bit confused as to how this happened, almost like he's snapping out of something, so I think this might be him jumping to Steven from Mark. If our theories are right, then the chase likely took place, and this led to him falling out the van, which could have tied into the snap, and then he was brought back 5 years later as Steven. He then could have bumped into Harrow at the museum, which seems to be the location their meeting is happening at due to the statues in the background. I am interested in seeing what they could do with Harrow, and I actually think they might even combine him with other characters. Ethan Hawke has described him as a David Koresh-esque villain that's the leader of a cult, and in order to get this reputation, I wonder if he has any powers or abilities himself. It has been theorized for a while that he's playing Sun King, and I even got so deep into this that come the release of the trailer, I just assumed it was him. Big L for Kevin's spoilers on that.
There's no reason for a big L on that. The subtitles confirmed it, though, I think,
Yes,
on
they
the
did,
actual
yeah.
trailer itself, right? But the thought that was kind of popping in my head while watching this was a little bit of what they've kind of been doing with Venom. It would appear in the trailer that whenever he does something, shifting between personalities, he has no memory recollection of the other's personality. When you're thinking about a long-term series or for a character, I'd imagine they'd have to get to a point where the personalities can successfully coexist, where he could adopt the other memories. As I like the idea of being thrusted into situations where he has deniability because he really doesn't remember it whatsoever, right? And I like dealing with the chaos of that, but I'm wondering if eventually there will be an arc where the personalities will have to learn to cooperate with each other, kind of like Venom and Tom Hardy.
Yeah, and then when Moon Knight takes over, it's a little bit like, oh god, now why? Come on, like work with me here. Yeah, I could absolutely see that. And with the Harrow character too, I gotta imagine they're going to use that small comic book character appearance as some kind of mislead to then usher in a much bigger character like Sun God or something like that.
Good point.
Now, the internet has been full of people pointing out amazing Easter eggs such as that, and the box in the van that has Von D on it. This has led many to believe that it's actually a nod to the major Marvel villain, Victor Von Doom. However, it was quickly debunked, as in the next shot you can see that the box reads Von Darrellman, which is the name of a cupcake company. However, none of you f***s are as clever as I am, and I actually think that in the Marvel Universe, Victor Von Doom will be a cupcake king who runs a criminal empire selling delicious baked goods. In the comics, Dr. Doom actually got hit in the face with a cupcake once, which was likely his supervillain origin
Easter
story.
egg.
Oh my god, it's all starting to make sense now, isn't it? Exclusive theory, exclusive. Anyway, back to Steven. Now, the character is clearly paranoid that he becomes someone else at night. And in the teaser, we can see that he tapes up the door so that if it's opened, he'd find this torn. There's also even a ring of sand put around his bed to show if there's been any footprints. This goes on for several nights, and we can actually tell this by the fact that his clothes change. However, another theory could be that it's all part of the same night, and the change of clothes is because he became someone else while Steven was asleep. One of the most interesting parts of the new look is him solving a Rubik's Cube, which I theorized represented his fractured personalities all being part of one whole. The constant twisting and turning of this could also represent how he drops in and out of his different personas. Huge shoutouts to YouTube user Ralph Shadow for jumping off that and saying that come the end of the season, there would be a lot of symbolism to Steven completing it. This would show the balancing of all his personalities, and as Rubik's Cubes typically take a long time to solve, it could be something that he keeps going back to. Doesn't take me a long time though, as I figured out that Doctor Doom cupcake thing, but yeah, I think that would be a great direction to take the series.
I think the Doctor Doom thing is so funny because you've done something brilliant here. And because I saw it going around social media and I was like, I don't think their nod to Doctor Doom would be on some box in the background.
This is how we introduce one of our most iconic villains.
But flipping it on its head here with finding a part of the comics that dealt with cupcakes and Doctor Doom. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm hoping that's true now, just because of Paul.
In the finale episode of the season, someone's gonna hurl one of those cupcakes and then a big metal hand's gonna grab it out of thin air.
I can't believe you're naming your twins correct. That's brilliant.
Though many people think that the thing that was stalking him in the museum was Konchu, who does show up in trailer 2, I actually think that this is the beast in the bathroom. If you look at it, it has glowing eyes, whereas Konchu doesn't, and the god carries a staff, whereas this creature is missing it. Thus, I think it might have been sent out by Anubis to collect whatever Steven has in the bag, and he eventually ends up defeating it in a bathroom. However, he did hunt werewolves in the comics, and the character first appeared in Werewolf by Night, but the lack of fur and shape of the animal makes me think it's the other. Anyway, hopefully you enjoy these theories, and we've been having not too bad of a week, as we actually got one right with the latest Book of Boba Fett episode. Gonna hold on to that for the rest of time, but I'm sure you have better ones than I've dropped in this video, so make sure you leave yours in the comment section below.
Great work there, Paul. I'm really proud of you, buddy. And yeah, I think your Thanos snap thing, that one lines up pretty well. Good detective work, my man. I always like seeing when you get predictions and theories right. Always like that about you.
Kevin Spoilers
over here. Guys, subscribe to Heavy Spoilers if you haven't done so already. Let's get this guy to 1 million before the end of 2022. You can subscribe to us, click that notification bell, and hey, we'll catch y'all soon.